Hi, my name is Jessica Brito. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a psychotherapist. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about anger. Anger is one of those difficult emotions that a lot of times we kind of make a negative one, right? And anger is just another emotion. It's a difficult one, yes. However, it isn't good, it isn't bad. It's just a reaction that you're having to a situation, whether it's internal or external. So today I want to talk a little bit about this discomfort that people have for anger, what anger actually is, and the benefits of it. Like, what's the good thing about being angry, right? First, I want to say that anger is what we call a secondary emotion, which means that underneath the anger, there is something else. And what we really need to get to is the core, right? What am I actually feeling that is resulting in anger? Anger is only the expression that we're showing. As I tell a lot of people, anger is just a more acceptable emotion for most people, right? You live in a house where everyone's screaming, everyone's just being mean, and it's no one trips on it, no one gets mad about it, right? However, if someone starts crying and they're super sad and they're expressing their pain and their hurt, we have a culture that's completely uncomfortable with that. We're more comfortable with the person who's constantly yelling, bitching, being mean, right? But the person that's crying, sharing their pain, or someone that is fearful and sharing maybe their anxiousness and their irritability, those people were very uncomfortable on how to handle it, right? So the thing that we have to do with anger is first understand what the primary emotion is, whether it's sadness, guilt, shame, feeling less than, humiliation, jealousy, and just become more curious. Take a step back. Don't sit in the anger and decide that anger is a bad thing. Anger should be your warning. Like, hey, I'm feeling something. What is it? Where is it coming from? What was I doing when I started feeling angry? And have I ever been in this type of situation before? What other emotions could I be feeling instead of anger? And if you become more curious about the anger, then it gets easier for you to work on the problem. Because anger is usually not the problem, it's just the reaction to the problem. With time, the more and more that you get used to looking at your anger, sitting with it, understanding it, and really just working with it, the less things will bother you and the less likely you're going to have issues related to it. With some mental health issues, anger just happens more than normal. So in those cases, what we say is the same thing that I've said in the past. It's just a symptom of something. Something's going on, right? If I'm constantly being angry, if I'm constantly uncomfortable, then maybe it's time to try to figure out what's going on, and maybe it's just a symptom of something else. If you start realizing that it's a symptom of something else, or it's an emotion that you're constantly in, then maybe it's time to talk to your doctor and say, hey, I've been having a lot of issues with my anger and it's really hard for me to just manage it. Can we work on it? Can we find a resource or someone I can talk to work on it, right? Sometimes, last time I think I talked about suicidal ideation, right? And in therapy, we have another thing called homicidal ideation. Are you starting to now be so angry that you think about hurting people, or you're fearful that you might do something and you might hurt people? Then that's a good moment to reflect and say, hey, something's going on, right? Because sometimes what that tells me is there's a trauma, there's a lot of pain inside of us that needs to be healed. And a lot of times people will become very fearful of the fact that they have these thoughts, that they don't even want to acknowledge it or tell anyone. And it's the same thing as when we talked about suicide. It's the more we talk about it, the closer we're going to get to the solution. And because mental health is physical health and emotions are just part of your mental health, then we have to talk to our primary care and say, hey, like, I'm having a really hard time with anger, right? Because only that way will you start getting the resources that you need. And like I tell people, anger is not the problem. There's nothing wrong with being angry. At times you might feel angry. The issue comes As I told one of my clients, I said, no one expects you not to be angry. Your life is hard. You're going through a lot. Who the heck wouldn't be angry, right? It's just, you need to stop swinging at people, because that's actually the real problem, right? When we start yelling at people, hurting others, hurting ourselves of how angry we can get, throwing things, just being mean, that's kind of where the issue is, not the anger itself. So as we start working on some of that, and even learning how to regulate my emotions, someone asked me the other day, okay, you're saying I can't swing at anyone, you're saying don't yell and scream at people, you're saying don't cuss at people, what do I do? In that moment, right, we can do all these other things, but in that moment when I'm so angry, what do I do? And honestly, take a walk, okay? Because anger might just be your fight or flight response. It might be your body's way of saying something's wrong, releasing a bunch of chemicals that you just need to burn. Which, again, like I've said in the past, and I say it all the time, mental health is physical health. So let's start burning some of those chemicals in that moment. Go for a walk. Listen to a song that you know brings your mood down to a stable place. Do some breathing meditations. Call a friend that you trust and that you're very close to. I have told clients even, go on Netflix, start watching something that just makes you laugh a lot so that we can counter some of those chemicals. And in the moment, I know that making the decision to not blow up or to not be mean or to not hurt anyone or hurt yourself can be difficult. And the easiest solution is take a walk. Okay, get some air, breathe it out, and then again, reflect. Okay, what was going on? Because one big thing that's also going to make the anger worse and make it less likely that you'll stop that behavior is avoiding the why. Okay, why is this happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Lastly, what I want to say is anger can be a really positive thing if you sit down and try to figure out what's underneath it. I tell my clients, if you are in an unjust situation, right? If no one got angry over slavery, we would still have it. If no one gets angry over women's rights, we still wouldn't be able to vote. If people weren't angry about all the chaos going on in the world, then we would never see change. Anger just ignites a change. So if we take that anger and put it in a positive way, then we can go really far with it, right? Anytime an injustice happens and you get pissed off, guess what? Maybe it's time to sit and reflect, okay, what's going on? How big is this injustice? Is there a change that I need to make in my life? Is there a change I need to make in my relationships? Anger is a good warning sign that something's wrong and a change needs to happen. So we need to stop fearing the difficult or discomforting emotions and really just become very curious of what they are, where they come from. Again, there are a lot of mental health disorders that will make you more irritable or angry if you don't deal with them, right? If you have a lot of pain because of your depression, you will be more irritable. If you're very anxious and constantly worried and thinking about a lot of things, then yeah, you're going to be a little more angry than other people. If you have chronic pain is one that I talk a lot to my clients who have disabilities or chronic illness, but that will definitely piss you off. So working on the cores, working on what is actually going on mentally that is causing me all this anger. Well, if you guys like that information and you have any more questions or anything else that you would like to suggest, please leave it in the comments. Thank you for coming on my channel. Please subscribe and share with everyone that you know.